Hello, I'm Jim, and welcome back. Today I have my best friend ever with me, Tom. We've known each other since about seventh grade, and we have kept in contact all those
We
years.
still recognize one another.
Yeah, we do. And he is a guru on bikes. How often and how many miles a year do you ride?
Well, it depends. Life gets in the way. I have to, whatever my wife lets me. No, I enjoy riding. I've done it all my life. It gives us all a sense of freedom. It's one of the first things we did when we were little kids, and uh, probably 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. It all depends on what year.
What year? Most people,
Very
3,000 miles a year would be exceptional. But 5,000, sometimes 10,000, that's why I have him here.
It's a lot of fun.
I want Tom to help me explain to you how seniors can go riding and really enjoy it. And he has so much input. The three bikes behind us are only part of your group of bikes. But I want him to first, before we really get into it, tell you what's directly behind me, and that's your original Schwinn. Tell us about that.
Are you interested? Because the values keep going up on these
No.
bikes. I bought that bike when I was 10 years old with lawn mowing money. It's a Schwinn 5-speed fastback Stingray. And a lot of you out there probably had a Schwinn, or a Sears or Montgomery Ward's bike, a Firestone maybe. But the Schwinn was the cat's meow. And that was considered the muscle bike back in the day. So it's 1967, I was 10. With my lawn mowing money, I bought that bike because mom and dad were not going to give me the money. And I worked a little bit with Jim. He had a paper route. He never paid me. Maybe a McDonald's
In
hamburger.
McDonald's
every night.
hamburgers.
Yeah. When they were on, so I'm like, forget that. I'm going to sleep in and start the lawn mowing money business.
About
But
25 cents a hamburger.
is that what it was?
I don't remember.
But anyway, the bike is fully functional, and you can ride it. I guess I can jump in a parade on that bike now, uninvited. But it's a lot of fun. And those bikes, those Schwinn bikes, believe it or not, were made for people up to the height of 6 foot. So you could ride that bike right now today.
Yeah.
It's just not a kid's bike. But anyway, biking is fun. It's a sense of freedom, and that's what it gave us when we were kids. And that kind of sort of started it. I think I've probably been riding since I was 3-4 years old.
Yeah. As seniors, exercise, getting out, doing things, being social is what we need to do. And so this particular video, I wanted to concentrate on biking. And there was no better person when I thought about this particular video than Tom to explain this. So what we want to do today is I'm going to use Tom to use his knowledge to help you understand if you've never biked, or you did when you were a kid and then you kind of let it go for 10, 20 years, what you might want to do to get started again as a senior. So just help me understand, since you've ridden so much and are in extremely great shape from riding so much, what you think a senior 66 like us, just getting started,
I thought you were 67.
no, in another 23 or
Stand
days.
corrected.
And what would you think it would take for a senior to just get back out there and start riding again?
Well, first of all, don't look at yourself as a senior. There's an athlete in all of us. And we're still kids. We still think like we did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But we understand we have limitations. And a lot of seniors, if we want to call ourselves seniors, we hesitate. We don't think we have balance anymore. We've lost some strength. We don't have the confidence. We haven't been on a bike for years. Well, there's really no excuse for us not to get out of our easy chair. The easy chair time is important for reading and other things and watching TV. But if you want to feel good about yourself, and you always feel great about yourself if you get up out of your chair and you do something, a hobby, an activity, doesn't have to be biking. You always feel better about yourself. So why don't we want to feel better about ourselves daily and make that part of our routine?
Yeah.
But for me, biking does that for me. It grounds me. It's a sense of freedom, and that's what we had when we were kids. When we first started biking, it was like, great, out of the house, ride to the woods, go up the block, visit a buddy. As a matter of fact, Jim delivered his papers on a bike.
On a Schwinn.
On a Schwinn.
On a Schwinn, what we called then, in those days, the 10-speed.
And papers were thick back then. I mean, they were,
I think
it
it's
was
the
heavy.
Schwinn Traveler. I think it may have been called.
Was it the
I still
Traveler?
have it in my garage. Not as cleaned up as yours, though, but it's still good working order.
Well, just on a tangent too, if you want to see a bunch of bikes, we're in Ohio, by the way. Hello, everybody. From different states, but we're from the great state of Ohio. Go Bucks! The Bicycling Museum of America is in New Bremen, Ohio. It's a wonderful place to go visit. They have all this type of bike there, a lot of the old Schwinns too. But getting a little off topic, if you haven't ridden in a while, you can have a home stationary bike. If you're concerned about balance, if you have balance issues, you can go to the local gym. A lot of people are on Medicare. They have a supplement. They get silver sneakers. You don't want to invest in a bike, go to the gym. Sometimes they have programs at the gym. They can help you. Do not try to keep up with somebody who's 40 years younger than you.
Right.
You get into some of these spinning classes and they just want to go like they're being chased by you know, 800-pound gorilla, and you feel like you want to keep up. Sit in the back, take it easy,
And just
get your
take
heart
it
rate up
gradually.
and enjoy it. And maybe the music they play isn't the music that we think is, might be. But that's a great way to get involved in it too. A lot of you probably have an old bike that you couldn't part with in your basement or in your garage.
Like you and I, we both have our old bikes from when we were teenagers.
Right. But I don't want to ride that
Right, and I don't want to ride
50
mine.
miles.
In fact, when I got my new bike, it was because I went out with my oldest son riding, and at the end of that ride, I said, Stephen, as much as I love this bike and I don't want to get rid of it, this is not what I want to ride. And that's why also I wanted Tom today to help you understand the variety of bikes that are out there to be had. I mean, there's a huge price point difference and feature difference on bikes.
Oh, there certainly
Just,
is.
I know you have a lot of very nice bikes, but you ride 3,000 plus miles a year. Someone just getting started, what's the first thing they should do when they go to a good bike shop? And I think I want to stress that, and you would agree, a good bike shop
Absolutely.
where the people who work there are bike enthusiasts and want nothing more than to see you happy.
Right. You want to go to your local LBS. It doesn't stand for pounds. Local bike shop. They're your best resource. I mean, they are fantastic. They will chew the fat, as we used to say, about bikes ad infinitum, to infinity. They're not really there to sell you. They are bike enthusiasts. They love biking. That's why they're doing it. They went into the profession not to, become billionaires. They enjoy biking so much that they've made it their profession. So they'll talk to you and they'll share all kinds of knowledge. And a good local bike shop will say, okay, well, here's a potential buyer, client, or local person coming in. They haven't ridden in years. They're going to know how to handle that particular situation. They're not going to try to sell you some high-end race bike, Tour de France, really 15-pound bike, $1 zillion and whatnot. They're going to understand what your needs are. They're going to look at your body type. They're going to ask you, what are your goals? Right. What kind of riding do you want to do? Are you going to be doing it in a group by yourself, your spouse? You're going to be traveling? Do you have any physical limitations? So because they ask you all these questions, the gamut is a wide range of possibilities. The whole key, as I ramble on about biking, is you want to get a bike that fits you and your lifestyle. If you want to go out and do path riding, you don't need a racing bike. If you're going to do a little off-road biking, a little limestone, little unpaved paths, well, maybe you need a gravel bike. Personally, for me, if I could recommend a bike buy, and maybe you want to try to rent one too, they'll also do that, the local bike shops. So you can try them out.
For those people who aren't sure.
Right. In the used market, now because of COVID, the bike availability really shrunk, and new bikes we were waiting. Actually,
I waited 1 year.
took you over a year to get your
1
new
year
bike,
to get my last bike.
which is insane when you think about it. But so they were paying good money, just like they were for cars. The last couple 2-3 years, that's going away now to get good used bikes. You can get a great used bike. It's now we're in 2023, in the fall of 2023. You can get a ton of good used bikes from your local bike shop because they've got all tuned up. The drive train, the chains are good, the handlebars, the brakes, tires, everything. So it's like buying a certified used car, but the
Right.
price has dropped by 50%.
Yeah,
I mean, you can get a bike, a really nice bike for $400 or $500 now.
yeah. And one
With
thing,
bigger tires and not a race bike necessarily.
Right.
A hybrid kind of cross bike that you can kind of take anywhere. You can do a flat bar bike, so you're not down in the drops like you're a racer.
like this one back here is the curved bar.
But that's a gravel bike.
That's a gravel bike, yeah.
But you can also do a flat bar on that too.
Right, you can.
That's a gravel bike, and that'll take you anywhere. You can do light mountain biking, you can get on the paths, you can get on limestone, take it all over. And I leave permanent fenders on here, and just in case you get into a little slop or a little mud or whatnot, you don't want to get a skunk trail up your back or anything. So it's exciting to go to a local bike shop. You might be overwhelmed when you first go in there, like, man, I feel out of shape. I haven't ridden in a long time. I cannot talk the language.
Yeah.
Local bike shops.
They will help you out.
They'll help you out.
You have vast more experience than I, but when I went in to purchase my last bike, the guy spent so much time with me, showing me bikes, helping me
Yeah.
understand. Like the seats. The seats sometimes are very small on the gravel bikes and the racing bikes, but you immediately think they're uncomfortable. They're not. You were explaining how they align them to the person.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive, or it's not intuitive thinking. You think, hey, I want to be comfortable on my bike. I want a tractor seat.
Yeah.
Well, that's great if you're driving a tractor. Or maybe if you're on a trike kind of bike, which is another point. It doesn't have to be two wheels, folks. It can be a three-wheeler, a quad, a four-wheeler. There's all like a recumbent bike,
Yeah.
maybe a tandem bike, maybe you're riding with your spouse or whatnot. They say if a marriage can survive a tandem bicycling experience, I mean,
You're
a husband and wife, if you can make it, because one has to be a captain in the
You're
front,
right.
and the person in the back is called the stoker, the back scratcher or whatever. Hey, honey, pass me a banana, that kind of thing. But if a marriage can survive a tandem bicycling experience, you're in it for the long haul.
Good bit of advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we get off on the tangent, it doesn't have to be two-wheeled. And another option too, since we're just talking general biking, e-bikes, e-assist bikes, not motorcycles, not mopeds, not scooters. There's 2 or 3 classes of e-bikes now, and it's a huge industry with the battery, with the lithium-powered batteries, and a lot of different ranges. But if you have a bad ankle, bad knee, or you want to keep up with somebody who's a little faster, you want to get into that Wednesday night group ride, and you just can't quite keep up, and you can look at e-bikes or e-assist bikes. You're still pedaling, you're still getting a great
You're
workout.
still getting the exercise.
But maybe
You're still going. But if
yeah.
you got that hill and you're just out of it, you're out of energy, you switch it to the E and it helps you get up that hill, and then you can easily switch back to pedaling.
Oh, exactly.
Right? Is that
yeah, and
my
you might,
understanding?
Sure, you might get 10% help. You might get 20% help. A lot of them have settings, 1, 2, 3, eco, econ, getting just a little bit of a help. And then you can adjust the setting up and down and whatnot, and maybe you say, hey, I'm just going to ride it without any kind of assist. But I will say, those bikes are heavy. They're heavier.
Yeah.
So
getting them on the car or in the back of the
Right.
truck bed.
transportation is a whole nother topic.
different-
Bike racks, roof racks. How am I going to do this? How do I take
This
my
bike,
tire off?
2 fingers, you could probably lift it up.
That bike's probably 17 pounds, 17 and a half. That's a titanium airborne bike. That's more of a road race bike.
The old bikes are heavy.
that thing is a beast. That's a monster. That is very heavy. You can
Yeah.
almost break up a sweat bringing it up from downstairs.
But the
And that's under
The
20
gravel bike?
pounds. That's probably maybe 19 and a half pounds. It's magnesium and aluminum, so it's a kind of a unique kind of bike. And that's another thing about bikes. All the different kinds of materials. Aluminum is probably the most popular. There's some metal fatigue over time, but you got to really crush and ride all the time before
to make a
that
difference.
aluminum is going to give out. But it's a little harsher ride. Steel is real, is what they say in the biking world. It's probably the softest ride out there. Steel is going to be a little heavier, but it's more forgiving. You don't have to pump your tires up before they're going to explode either. You can let a little bit of air out of your tires and get a softer
A little bit
ride.
soft. You told me that, and that made a difference.
Oh, it's huge. It
yeah,
depends on
I
the
did
kind
not
of
know that.
terrain.
I was always pumping it up to the maximum. If it was 89 psi, that's where I put it. And then you told me that, and it made a big difference.
And you don't really have to pump your bike tires up every day either. You get a little bit of osmosis, a little bit of leak of air from that tube out. And there's tubeless tires. That's a whole nother the type of tires, and the slick, or you want tread on your. That's a whole nother topic on it. But no, you're right. You don't have to put your tires up to
Yeah.
120 psi.
Right.
You can do that, and I don't want to ride beside you because let's say it's a hot day, it's 90 degrees, and you pump your tire 95, just hotter than blazes out, but you decide maybe you should be riding in that kind of heat anyway, or you're going to transport your bike in your car, and you've blown your tires up to max, and you go into the store and go grab a bite lunch or doing whatever, and you just roll up your windows and whatnot, and all of a sudden you think there's an explosion. It can happen when you're driving. All of a sudden you're in the ditch because you ran you off the road. But I've been around tires that have exploded, and it's like a gunshot, really.
Yeah. But it's because you put it at the max.
Yeah, there's no
So you should not, because as they heat up, they expand, and they get a little tighter, and that's where it could pop.
You're better off minimize. If it's 80 to 120, if you're at 90, you're fine. They've done studies with rolling resistance and the whole 9 yards. The Tour de France riders used to ride skinnier tires. Now they're up to 23, 25 millimeter width, and they don't pump them all the way up. It depends on the terrain, but they've done the math. They've looked at all the aerodynamics. All the rolling resistance, all the coefficients. They factored all this in, and they're actually running with less PSI, and the tires are a little wider.
So for us seniors, I'll say that we can call it golden years, but so getting out, and the first thing you should do is the bike shop, because the bike shop is going to help you discover there are so many different types of bikes, handlebars, seats.
Which happened in our conversation right now. We started talking about biking, and all of a sudden we're all over the board.
We're all over the board, because
and
that's
what
where you can go.
That's what happens when you go into the bike shop.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're like, oh, but that's a really cool helmet, and then you're talking about glasses or gloves.
And let's talk about that for a second.
See,
because
we're all over the board
at
again.
no point in time should you not have a helmet on, because it's about safety. And as we get older,
well, we never wore helmets when we were kids.
When we were kids, and we did fall.
Actually, I don't even know if we
were
were in seat belts when we were kids either.
No, we did not.
We survived. We drank out of the hose and played in the dirt, too.
Yeah, go figure. But we're still here. But a helmet, number one, when you're first getting out, you go to the bike shop. After you've discussed what kind of bike, they even let you ride it for a while, and then get the
You got to sign the waiver, though.
Yeah, get the proper accessories. The helmet, hands down, is the number one thing you should get. Even if you get some bikes with the clip-in, the right shoes. But if you get a bike that is more of a, I won't call it a comfort bike, but something that
Just
has
a path, city
a
bike.
path bike, a city bike, where
Yeah.
you don't have to have the shoe that clips in. The point is, there's such a variety of options that you have, so there's no real excuse why you should not get out and investigate riding a bike. low impact to the joints. That day you jumped off after the football game or senior year and you did your knee in, and now you're 66 and it's still a problem every once in a while.
That's a memory
You would rather do
I
without.
compartmentalized, and he brought it up again.
Brought it up again. But
I have stories about this guy.
yeah,
too, by the
there's
way.
some stories about me too. But the
What
point
happens
is,
in Vegas? No, it's not. They're not Vegas stories.
but the
really.
point is, the biking isn't a huge impact on that knee.
No, it's not. Ankle, knee. If you're out of alignment, got hip issues, which is another. Some people can't. Maybe they have a bad hip. And maybe depending on the ball and socket, there's arthritis, etc. You have different issues, but you can adjust on that. You might have to go see your doctor. You might have to see the orthopedic. But it's interesting.
Let me interrupt right there because this is a corpsman from the Navy. He does know what he's talking about. Go ahead.
So, just if you're bleeding, I can stop it. It doesn't mean I can save your life. I just know where to. In one of my first careers, but you may have to see your doc or your orthopedic or whatnot. But it is interesting, as I started to say, when you're rehabbing, when you get shoulder surgery, knee surgery, ankle surgery, hip surgery. It's kind of funny what they do. You go to the physical therapist and whatnot, they evaluate you, and guess what? I bet you, and I don't care if you're 95 years old, they put you on a bike.
They put you on a bike.
Outside of crawling, walking, biking is probably one of the first things we do when we're kids. They put, and if any of us have grandkids or great nieces, nephews, and all this out there, a push bike is fantastic for them to learn their balance because biking is, you're in a gyroscope, you got the wheels turning, it's a center of balance is a straight line between that seat right down to the top of the tire right down to the road. That keeps our balance. If you have balance issues, we learned on training wheels. I was just talking to a couple guys, and one of the guys who we do rides with, he's 89 years old, by the way, and he's still riding his bike, and it's not an e-bike. And he rode 40 miles on his 88th birthday last year, unassisted.
That's pretty impressive.
He says by the time I get to an e-bike, other things won't work. So what's the point? And he went out a few months ago at age 89 and bought a brand new bike, Trek gravel bike, similar to this. But so God love him. It's just
that's amazing.
Fantastic.
But you need to build up to an 80-mile ride, 50-mile ride. Sometimes when you go out and you tell me you took a short ride, you went 20 miles. To me, that's a long ride.
Well, it's a time situation too. If you don't have time,
right?
It takes a lot less. What do you do when you retire? Well, some people want to write. Jim does photography, and he's active, kayaking, all these kind of things. Sometimes biking can take a lot of time because if you put your bike in your car, your SUV, or your truck, and you you take it to a certain path or trail, and by the time you do that, maybe then of course ride, live, ride, eat, repeat. And of course you got to stop for lunch or something after the ride. And all of a sudden, you've killed 5-6 hours.
Well, let's incorporate two things.
Or ride from your house and you're done. So 20 miles sometimes, you only have, if you ride 10 miles, fantastic, 5 miles, but you only have so much time.
Yeah. Two things you kind of said. Number one, where to go. There are all kinds of paths. And then the social side of it.
Oh, the social side is fantastic.
You have had a lot of great experiences with this club that you're part of. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's not so much a club and as much it's a organization. It's called, and I didn't ask him for permission to talk about this, but they're going to have to forgive me later.
They'll love it.
It's called Pedal Across Wisconsin. Most all of us had dads, whether we know them or not. If you remember Paw, Dad, P-A-W. Just Google it. It's Dr. J, the 89-year-old guy who started the company. His son runs it now, Kenny. Googleize it. He doesn't Google things, he Googleizes it. But Googleize pedal across Wisconsin. My wife and I, who does not ride, my wife is a quilter, and she is a non-rider. That's another thing about riding. It gets you out, but maybe your spouse doesn't ride. And you're like, well, you don't want to leave your spouse, or you don't want to, you want to do things together. But sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder as well. But, okay, go to plan B. You want to go ride your bike, whether it's sometimes there's the woman wants to ride, or the one partner wants to ride, the other partner doesn't. And so meet for lunch.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to go out and ride on the bike path, whatnot. There's a good little place, or there's a place out in the country, and then so you meet up for lunch and whatnot. There's other things to do, sightsee, whatever. You've gotten your needs in. You've fulfilled your need.
Yeah.
And you've been considerate to your partner, and now they're part of it. Well, maybe there's a few other people who are riding, or you see a couple other riders, at the local cafe, and all of a sudden you start talking. Oh, hey, we ride on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Or the local bike shop says, hey, there's a ride on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But getting back to this Pedal Across Wisconsin ride, so my wife, we go up and we help out the ride. We're part of the crew. Help set up the lunch stops. Maybe I change some tires, do some wrenching and whatnot. We mark roads. We're there for the riders. All they have to worry about is just ride. And then make sure you get back to happy hour that we have every day.
Yeah, that's
4 or
important.
5, maybe a couple group dinners. So you're helping people. So on the last ride up in Wisconsin, by the way, you just don't have to ride locally. There are, all across the country, there are trails and organized rides and paths. So getting back to the Pedal Across Wisconsin group, so it's just a wonderful opportunity to interact with people our age, younger and older. The most recent ride we did up in Door County, Wisconsin, the thumb of Wisconsin, beautiful area. It was a 5-6 day ride, and it's just gorgeous up there, and it's very artsy, and the apples, the orchards were, harvest time, and the cherries, and it's a wonderful part of the country, and you're surrounded by water. Some of the most beautiful roads I've ever been on, but I say that about every place we go and ride. It's another thing about biking. It's just a sense of adventure. You're exploring.
Yeah.
You can see a lot more on a bike than you can in a car or walking, or certainly running. A lot of us can't run anymore, unless even if we're being chased, we might not be able to be. But the demographics on the ride in Wisconsin.
This is what impresses me.
To give you an example, we had 127 riders. We had riders from 20 different states. A couple from, we get some people overseas too, maybe Ireland, Ontario, but California, Washington, Illinois, Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Texas. It was just fantastic. So you're dealing with people who've been there, done that.
And the average age was?
The average age was 68, which
68.
is pretty high, meaning anywhere, we've done tons of these rides for years now and helped out on the crew. Average age is probably anywhere from 63 to 67. 68 was a little higher. We had, I think, 7 riders, 80 to 89, not including Dr. J. The crew's never included in the demographics. But it was really fascinating to see the split. Now, we have the time and the wherewithal to do these things. And you can go on these other tours, Vermont VBT, Vermont Bicycle Tours, or Trek Travel. And they are wonderful tours. You can go out overseas, do a river barge, bike on, off thing. You can do Tour de France before they do Tour de France. Pedal across the country, race. They do races across America. There's adventure cycling, all these different organizations. You can spend a lot of money. For me, my personal thought on it is I'm just going to get on my bike and go out and ride and be a kid again and do it safely and make sure, plan a little bit. I always send my wife a GPS link so she knows where I'm at, the breadcrumbs. I use Road ID for emergencies or identification. I use an app that I'll send it to Jim sometimes, especially in the winter if I'm in Florida. I'll send him the app
Yeah.
The GPS, I'm riding down in Florida, it's sunshine.
Yeah,
Of
I
course,
get this habit. Oh, he's riding in the Keys right now, or somewhere like that.
the only downside of that, with my skin type, whatever, is
Yeah.
you got to keep the sun off you. And that's another thing too. At our age, we're all seeing the dermatologist. I don't care who you are. Protection, safety, protection. That's a whole
Let's
discussion.
get down the whole gamut of accessories,
But-
from the helmet on down to the shirts you wear for skin protection.
Well, too, but just to finish up with the Pelacross Wisconsin group, price points. If you want to go and do things, maybe you just want to do a 2-day ride. Maybe you want to do a self-supported ride, but your local bike shop can give you maps and whatnot. Maybe you want to join an organization in Columbus. It's called Columbus Outdoor Pursuits. It's the best resource we have in Columbus for all kinds of activities: climbing, kayaking, canoeing, different kinds of hiking, but biking is really big.
Yeah.
And so you can get maps, you can get into a group so you don't feel like you've got to do this all on your own. And pick their brain, get some knowledge, but you're going to meet people, and there's always food involved too in this, by the
Yeah.
way. That's the great thing. You got
That's-
to eat to live, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Nothing wrong with that.
so so you learn a lot, and you find people from all different walks of life. I mean, we're riding, and one guy, I don't know, we had one guy who just retired as a biologist from California on one of these Pelacross Wisconsin rides. He had a little Cessna plane from the 70s. He's had it, he maintains it. He wasn't a billionaire or anything, but he had another type of bike, folding bikes, Bike Friday bikes. You have folding bikes too. He put the folding bikes, and some people, they have a smaller car. Well, a folding bike would work too.
Yeah.
He put the folding bikes in his plane,
That flew out.
and he'd fly to these little airports. They were happy just to sell him the fuel. They didn't even pay him to take off and land. And my point is, you get to meet people from all over. One gal was a classical guitarist. I've never seen so many short. Her fingers were so short, but she had a special guitar made just for her, and she's world renowned, a classical guitarist. But who loves biking? All of us come from different professions, different walks of life. Most people are probably going to be retired. The people who are riding out in the middle of the day or early in the morning to beat the heat and whatnot, I mean, they're all retired. You go to Florida, everybody rides. It's amazing.
Yeah,
You do not have to ride on the road. There are so many paths and trails in all the cities, and they're finally realizing that we'll connect our neighborhoods via bike paths.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to ride on the road.
Because I don't ride on the road. You do, but you're good at it. My preference is paths.
So the bike paths, the availability, and that's why this Pelacross Wisconsin ride, that actually the folks are from Illinois. They used to just go up and do all these weekend rides because the possibilities are endless in terms of all the roads that we have in this country are amazing.
Okay, what I want to do now with Tom is have him explain to us.
Maybe I don't want to do it.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to. Accessories. What do you wear? What is safety conscious, important, and then what's just the smart thing to do? Like you mentioned, the shirt for sun protection. Tell us what you do.
Okay. Well, just briefly, once you're at your local bike shop and you just want to get into this and whatnot, they're going to make sure that whatever bike you get is going to fit. If your bike doesn't fit, you don't feel comfortable, you're not going to ride. So why even talk about any of this?
Right.
So that's a point that we didn't make previously. And they'll put you on a little gel pack and they'll measure your sit bones, and you'll probably end up with a skinnier seat. Don't hesitate. Follow their advice. All your weight goes on your sit bones if you're comfortable on your bike. You don't need a big tractor seat.
Right.
So that's part of safety and comfort that ties into this. Then they're going to want to say, okay, well, you need a helmet, and don't get the black helmet. I know black is slimming, and this is nice because you can kind of see me coming down the road. This lime green, yellow is the color that the eye sees first across the spectrum. I don't know why red cars get picked up for speeding more, but so this lime green, yellow is really nice. You can match it up. That's another thing about biking. Your socks, your kit, they call it your kit. Your biking
My new
kit.
bike, my helmet matches my bike.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely. And things on your bike need to match, your as well. So it can be a fashion statement for you fashionistas out there. It's great, and I'm telling you what, if you look good, you feel good, you're going to ride better. And biking is a great place to meet other people, like-minded people. Maybe, unfortunately, you're lost a spouse, you're lonely or whatnot. Biking is a great way to get out there and get involved.
I get more and more conversations with people on and off the bike trail than almost anywhere else.
Well, it's interesting that Pedal Across Wisconsin, just a little bit of a tangent, they've had several marriages.
Really?
The people who have met one another and decided to make a go of it.
Wow.
And second marriages and whatnot. Now, I don't know how many divorces, but I do know.
You do know how many marriages.
There's marriages, right. But getting back to the gear, your local bike shop will be able to help you out. And the whole thing is with gear is to make sure it's safe and functional. And you don't have to drop tons of money on this gear. You can get a good helmet for $50 to $100. Now you can spend $150, $200, you can get whatever too. But look for your sales and whatnot. But helmet, number one. Bicycling glasses, very important too. When you put bicycling glass on, they sit higher on your eyebrow because you're bending down, you got wind coming in, so your eyes are not going to get dried out.
Right.
And so you want to get specific cycling glasses, bugs. Oh yeah. And the lenses come on and off, which are nice. So get a pair. And you anywhere from $25 up to a zillion dollars.
It's up to you. You can even get prescription. That's your call.
And that's the other thing. A lot of companies, they do prescription. They work with the cycling companies, and the cycling companies work with the optometrist, and they can put your corrective lenses in to fit your frame. But biking, super important. You want to get a bee, bug, gravel in your eye, and now all of a sudden you're at the ophthalmologist.
Yeah. So get the glasses.
And you're off your bike. So glasses, just going from top to bottom. And we're assuming fair weather riding here.
Yeah.
Cooler weather riding is completely different. If you have hearing issues, when you put your bike helmet on, there's a little fuzz deal thing that goes on kind of your strap. It goes right here. It's actually Velcroed. It's just a little round fuzz, kind of almost like a bushing or a sleeve that goes on your straps. The wind now doesn't go into your ears. You can hear better, and it protects people who have hearing issues.
Wow.
It's a little safety thing too as well.
Knows that one.
Now you can hear. And speaking of safety, anymore, a lot of people, especially younger people, I don't know, I'm not saying they're weak or wimpy or whatever, but they have to have those earbuds in order just to, run, a half a mile or to get motivated and all that. And I get that. I love music, and I strum a little guitar, and, we play music loud. We love it. It's fantastic, and it can be very motivating. But you are a danger to yourself, not to get preachy, and some people will argue with us about this, but if you're distracted, you can't hear a deer, a critter coming out, somebody saying passing on the left.
Right. Just that little thing, that happens on one ride, that could happen 25 times. You say passing on the left, or someone says it to you, you need to hear that.
You need to hear it. If you're completely distracted, I don't know how many times I've gone by people on the bike path, and a couple of my buddies, they said, hey, watch this. Your mama sucks canal water. Not very nice. They're like, I can't believe you said that. I said, they have no clue. They are all butted up. They don't have and it's a safety issue too. People who run by themselves on these trails and woods too. I don't want the monster to jump out of the bushes and get me.
So do not wear earbuds while riding.
You should.
You need to hear the environment. If nothing else, listen to the birds chirping.
That's part of the experience of biking.
Yes.
You're actually taking
Be
away
outside
from yourself.
and enjoy the moment.
Record the big game or whatever. If
Yeah.
you absolutely have to, for business reasons, connectivity reasons, you absolutely have to be connected, and you have to have a bud in just one ear, probably on the right side, because we're in America. If you're on the in Europe, put it on the left side because they drive on opposite sides of the road. That would be maybe the only exception, but you're going to probably have your cell phone with you or a GPS device, and your cell phone can be on vibrate or whatnot. Do not text and ride a bike. Do not try to talk on your phone when you're riding your bike, because you will crash. If you don't look out ahead of you, and you're always looking down, you don't keep your head up, you're going to probably crash because you're going to hit a stick or a little hole in the path.
Back to the equipment. You wear a long sleeve because, like me, you want to block the sun.
You want to block the sun. It's super important. If it's going to rain or get a little misty, my wife, she's kind of handy. She's a quilter, sewer, so she makes my bike hats. I can't leave the house unless I match. And so I will put this bike hat.
What is your M&M hat match?
Pretty much everything,
Because there's so
chocolate.
many
It matches
colors,
chocolate,
which I'm all about.
So it goes underneath my helmet. A lot of us folks, as we get older, especially the guys, you don't want to look like a lizard, because if the sun is hitting your head here, you're going to go out
protect your head.
Dinner later, you're going to get some looks.
You'll have some nice suntan marks that are in triangle designs.
So if you don't have a wife like me who will measure your head and make these specific bike, you can buy just a cycling hat.
And your gloves there.
Yeah, here's another
there's
hat
another one
she made.
Yeah. So let's talk about gloves. Gloves are important as well.
Gloves are fantastic, and I would advise everyone to wear gloves when you ride. It gives your hand protection should you need it. It also cushions your position on the handlebars if you're on the bars.
That's what I like the most.
If you're on the
Makes
hoods,
a difference.
the hood, the shifter portion, the top, the hood, or if you're down in the drops.
Yeah.
And then you change your hand position too on a bike. It gives you more comfort because you have a lot of nerves in your hand, and you're putting pressure on the handlebars a little bit. But the gloves will protect you. They also prevent your hands from getting sweaty. On a hot day, now it could be slippery, and it could be a dangerous situation. You don't want to slip off your handlebars. You want to kind of hold on to your handlebars.
A good grip.
Get a good grip. Of course, when we were kids, we just did no hands. That was cool. Go no hands.
Just
Forget
go.
your whatever.
Woohoo!
Let it fly. I used to do wheelies on that bike. Now I'm a little reticent, sketchy on whether or not I want to do a wheelie on that bike anymore. So
I worry about balance now just walking, let alone riding in hands-free balance.
well, they have other things on wheels that can help you with that.
With
too.
that, yeah.
So you got your helmet, hat, maybe for more sun protection, perspiration protection too. It's another thing. You get salt in your eyes, you're not going to have a fun ride.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have like do-rags or a little band. I like to wear a hat. So you got your gloves, very important. And now you want to do your jersey. Some people, jerseys, depends, you can get a tighter fit, loose fit, regular fit. If you're out riding in the wind and you're a guy and you're not wearing a sports bra, well, you might get a little chafing. So what you want to do is get a real base layer that will wick sweat away, like a poly. You go to the local store and get them. They don't cost a lot of money, but put that under your jersey. Jerseys are interesting because most jerseys have 2 or 3 pockets in the back where you can store some things. That's where you want to store some things. But the functional wicking away fabric of a bike jersey is good. You can get long sleeve, you can get short sleeve, you can get, the no sleeve type of jersey. I love the ones that zip all the way up and down because they're easier to get on and off. And they're men specific and women specific clothing. It's better to invest a little bit of money and buy the right kind of clothing. Now it comes down to the kind of a nitty-gritty part of the discussion. Bike pants, bike shorts.
Makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
Yes.
And look at its training for old age too. Bike shorts, you can get compression pants. But a lot of a true bike short has a lining on the inside. It's called a chamois, and it's not a Depends, but it's training for Depends. One day, you might not feel comfortable. Who wants to sit on something that's already in your shorts? But that's the way to go. A chamois. Now, some chamois are thicker than others, and you do not want to wear anything under your bike shorts. You just want your bike shorts only.
Yes.
If you have any undergarment underneath, because I got to wear my regular, undershorts, and then I'll put my bike. You're done. There's going to be so much friction. You'll get so chafed, you won't be able to walk for 3 days. And it's a little weird. There's chamois butter as well. If you get a lot of friction down there, some people will butter up a little bit. There's too much friction going on, so it's like Aquaphor. It's like a water-based kind of gel, but it's called chamois butter. So some people, and if you ever get wet, that's really, you get a lot of chafing. I personally don't have to use it, but you should have a specific bike short chamois. Now, if you're a little uncomfortable with wearing just the chamois because it's tight, regular bike short, a lot of people will wear like you.
I put shorts over that.
You put shorts over that.
Because I'm just not comfortable with my body type wearing tight-fitting clothes. So I will put that on because of the comfort.
They're pretty cool. They're
And then
tactical. You got pockets in them and everything.
Then I put on the regular shorts, and I'm good to go.
I mean, it's sort of like these in a way. They're little. So if
I
I could
have
have
a
a
pair
chamois
similar to
underneath
that.
it,
Yeah.
and then a lot of the mountain bikers wear them.
Yeah,
But,
they wear those type. Yeah.
You got to be cool.
Yeah,
But they're functional.
yeah.
I don't like them because sometimes you get on and off your seat. You can get caught up on the horn of your bike saddle. It can be a little weird.
Yeah.
Which is another thing about you get out of the saddle, you always sit in the saddle. That's a whole nother discussion. But chamois are pretty important. We've had a couple young people on some of the rides that I've been involved with who are very self-conscious, especially the young boys. And on a couple of the Pedal Across Wisconsin rides, they could not wrap their head around these bike shorts, and they had to have their boxers on and all this. The ride was on Sunday. By Wednesday, they were taking a day off because they couldn't ride.
Because they could, yeah.
I told the one kid once, he was a nice young kid, 13, 14. I said, you're riding around with a bunch of old people who aren't wearing underwear. That really messed with his head.
That's not a good picture.
Yeah, he brought the curve down. And he was like the only young guy in there. But it was kind of neat because it's another thing. Biking is generational. It's generational. You can be 5 years old or 95 years old.
Yeah.
It brings us all together.
Right.
It's a wonderful pursuit, and it brings families together. We had one family. A guy was from New Mexico. Grandma and Grandpa. They've ridden in Europe and everything else. They had 3 generations on a ride, a couple months ago.
Wow.
And the younger generation, these guys ended up going out and winning a few races, mountain biking races in New Mexico. But
Really?
they came from all over different parts of the country, and he had his whole family there. It was the neatest thing.
That's pretty cool.
But they're all wearing bike-specific clothing, so
Yeah,
they've got their
yeah.
bike shorts on or whatever.
Well,
and then now you're down.
Safety and comfort on a bike.
Right, now you're down to your socks.
Yeah.
Just regular socks, but it's better to have a bike-specific kind of sock. The whole thing with biking is you don't want to trap moisture and sweat in on you. You want to wear tactical clothing that allows that sweat to be wicked away.
Yeah.
And all this wicking fabric is good. Another thing about your chamois, your bike shorts, when you are done with your ride, get out of those.
Get out of them and
Get out of them. That's
wash them and
it's a
get on-
breeding ground for not good things to
Yeah.
happen. So get out of your chamois and get cleaned up. Super important. So when your bike clothing is all functional and specific, you have to take a tactical approach to biking almost all the time. You got to think about it a little bit. But once you get those things taken care of, you're just free. You don't have to think
Yeah.
about too much. It becomes second nature to
Yeah.
you. So you're down to your shoes. Some people clip in. They have clips in the bottom of their shoes. Other people don't.
Yeah.
When you're first starting out, you can buy pedals that have a clip. You can have a clip on your shoe. It's recessed down in your shoe. and so you can clip in or clip out, but it's also a flat tennis shoe,
Yeah.
so you can walk into the convenience store,
Right.
get
Yeah.
your Gatorade, whatever. But they make a pedal with a clip on one side where you click in, because the whole motion of pedaling is like scraping mud off the bottom of your shoe.
Yeah.
That's the, and you can get, when you're
Motion.
clipped in, you can pull up, so you get more work in the back side with your hams, your glutes, and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's why a lot of people, you're a little more efficient. But it's all about living and riding, another day too. If you're not comfortable clipping in and clipping out, by no means should you. And
Right.
you got to practice.
When you're
on that.
just getting started, for those of you that are just wanting to get started, you don't have to go the full route on the clip-ins and all of that.
No.
You can get the level pedal. I don't know exactly what it's called. Where you can just use your regular everyday tennis shoe and go riding.
You can actually get a pedal, let's say an SPD is the one that you see on the indoor gyms and spinning bikes and things, and it's very popular outdoor riding too.
And it is kind of like that newer, but a pedal that you just put your everyday shoe on and go.
Well, you clip in on the SPD, but on the other side of the pedal, the SPD is on one side, but on the other side of the pedal, it's a
Oh.
good old flat
Oh, you
pedal.
can go back and forth. I did not know that.
Right, so
existed.
let's say out in the country or whatever, you're out a little further, nobody's around, you want to clip in, you feel pretty safe doing that. But when you're around, coming up to a stop sign, or you're in town, or you're a little more populated on the bike path,
Oh, you can change it over.
you change it over because your shoe is flat on the bottom too. Your clip on your shoe is recessed,
Yeah.
so you can clip in or out on one side, but just go flat on the other side.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I did not know that existed.
And they're great. So pedal is a kind of important thing, but I know we're still talking about clothing. But it goes down to your socks and your shoes. What kind of shoe?
From head to foot, yeah.
If you just want a regular good old tennis shoe like Jim's wearing now, hop on your bike, ride like we were kids. That's what we did. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But as you get into it more, you want to be efficient and enjoy the experience even more. It should be fun. It shouldn't be a labor of love. Now, I enjoy suffering a little bit. Others don't. They just want to just do, doesn't
Casual.
kill you. It'll make you stronger, So there are times that you want to push it. Other times you don't.
Yeah.
But in terms of clothing, another nice thing is to have a vest. Maybe you start out. If you start out and you're a little cool, that's good. But if you bundle up and you start out on a 55-degree day and you want to make sure you're warm because you don't want to be chilly, 3-4 miles down the road, you're going to be stopping, taking everything off. Now you got to carry it. So, but a vest is a nice thing to keep your heat in your upper body.
Yeah.
That with your hat also is a wonderful thing to keep heat in.
Yeah.
And because you're sweating and it's wicking the moisture away, it doesn't overheat you in the summertime. By the way, a hat
Yeah.
doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But it's super important to have maybe a jacket. Maybe a jacket that doubles as a rain jacket just in case it gets a little misty. Check the weather before you go. Check the wind. Hey, which direction do I want to ride?
Yeah.
But sunscreen's super important for people. But a long sleeve jersey, you don't have to wear solar sleeve. Solar sleeve is just a sleeve that goes up your arm. It can be white, lime green, whatever colors. You can make it look like fake tattoo. I got a bunch of them that look like fake
tattoo?
tattoos, And you're like, oh, this guy's like.
But there's sun protection.
But there's sun protection. Very
Yeah.
important for all of us. It doesn't, any dermatologist, I don't care if you get get the beautiful bronze tan, you got good skin, but
Yeah.
we all have, at our age, that's one of the discussions that we have when we're all talking sooner or later.
Yeah.
And then you can also,
Quiet, Okie. Quiet.
well, speaking of dogs and biking, I did get chased by a 3-legged dog. And it must have been really good in geometry because he was doing the diagonal. He had done the math. He's like, okay, this guy's going this fast. He came out of the house. He almost caught me.
He had the math figured out.
He almost caught me. And he 3-legged dog. And I had ridden quite a while that day, and I was a little tired. It was still out in the country. I was going like 18, 19 miles an hour, and which is, a little faster than average. And that dog was catching me.
He was on you.
3-legged dog. But you can wear solar sleeves if you live in Arizona. Florida, you'll see a lot of people with all the weight. They have a deal for your sun is huge. I mean, it is huge. And look at Jimmy Buffett. He just died of unfortunately. And,
Yeah, I know.
but so many people, you'll see scars.
You have to protect yourself from the sun.
They have a thing called the brim, and it goes right around your helmet, and it's about 4 or
I've
5
seen
inches.
several people wearing those.
They're great.
Stephanie wants that. She wants me to find out where to get that to attach. It just blocks the sun, the glare.
It's
as
called
well.
Dabrim, Dabrim,
Yeah.
and people they love it.